Once upon a time, in an enchanted emerald forest, there lived a magnificent family of unicorns. Among them were a loving mum and dad, accompanied by their playful daughter Daisy and their brave son Zephyr. On a radiant day, the family set out towards the meadow with a picnic basket full of delicious food. As they strolled through the forest on their way to the meadow, a tiny flutter caught little Daisy's attention. There, nestled under a fallen branch, was a fairy, her delicate wings trapped and a look of distress upon her face. "Oh dear," exclaimed Daisy, "a poor trapped little fairy. Hold on, I will rescue you." With the greatest of care, Daisy lifted the branch and freed the fairy. "Thank goodness," sighed the fairy, standing herself up and retrieving her wand. "I thought I'd be trapped there forever." With a wave of her wand, the fairy cleansed herself of dirt and healed her bruises, but Daisy could not help but notice the fairy was still a little bit wobbly on her feet. "You look quite tired, little fairy," said Daisy. "Where is it you need to go?" By now, the rest of the unicorn family had noticed that Daisy was lagging behind, and they came back to investigate what was happening. "I need to get back to the meadow," said the fairy wearily. "The meadow? Well, that's where we're heading," said the mother kindly. "Why don't you hop on our backs and we'll take you there?" The fairy, touched by their generosity, accepted their offer. "Thank you, that would be quite lovely. I'm Giselle, by the way." "Lovely to meet you, Giselle," the mother replied. "I am Rose, and this is my husband Moonbeam, my son Zephyr, and my daughter Daisy, whom you've met." Newly acquainted, the unicorn family and the fairy Giselle continued their journey to the meadow. Upon reaching the meadow, another fairy came flying like a rocket from the bushes. "Giselle, Giselle," she cried, "I have been so worried about you." "I'm fine, Imelda," said Giselle. "I was trapped under a branch, but these kind unicorns freed me and brought me home." "Oh, really?" said Imelda. The unicorns nodded. "Well," said Imelda, "I don't usually grant spells for free, but since you helped my sister, I will grant you a very special spell indeed." Imelda looked them over, and before they could say anything, she cast a spell on their picnic. "There," said Imelda, "I have made your picnic magical, and now we are even." And before the unicorns could say anything, Imelda grabbed Giselle's hand and they disappeared in a puff of smoke. The unicorns were stunned. The picnic still looked normal enough. "Maybe she just made it extra tasty," said Zephyr bravely. Hesitantly, the unicorns found a nice spot amongst the flowers and began their feast. However, after a few bites of the first sandwich, the family realized what the fairy had done. She had imbued the picnic with magical powers. The sandwiches bestowed upon the family the gift of super speed. Excitedly, they engaged in a game of catch. Normally, Zephyr always won because he was super fast, but today, with the power of the super speed sandwich, Daisy was the fastest. The unicorn girl emerged victorious for the first time ever. Next came the fruit salad. As they nibbled on the watermelon, apples, and oranges, they realized their bodies were changing shape. They were morphing into the things around them. Mother Rose became a tall tree. Father Moonbeam became like water. Zephyr morphed into a large rock, and Daisy became an actual, very large flower. Realizing their new power, the unicorns excitedly started a game of hide and seek, giggling in delight as they went about poking rocks and trees to see if they would giggle. The unicorns were now thirsty, so they took a sip of their lemon water. The lemon water from the picnic basket offered them the power to control water. With only a wave of their paw, they could make huge waves arise from the river, and with a shake of their tail, they could make rain fall from the sky. They engaged in the grandest, splashiest water fight imaginable, laughing as they summoned waves and streams, creating a magnificent display of aquatic prowess. After the water fight, the unicorns were soaking wet and needed to relax and dry off with a sun bath on their picnic mat. Finally, it was time for the last course, the cupcakes. No sooner had they swallowed the first bite, but the unicorns started to hover off the ground. With glee, they soared into the skies. However, the little unicorn girl soared a tad too high, and a big gust of wind whooshed her up and away out of sight of her parents. Daisy began to panic. "Help!" she called. "Help!" as the wind pushed and pulled her this way and that. To Daisy's relief, Imelda soon appeared in the clouds, giggling mischievously. "Sorry, little unicorn," she chimed. "I might have made the flying cupcakes a little too strong." Daisy was still tumbling around in the wind and feeling a little nauseous. "Help me get back down!" Daisy exclaimed. "Ask nicely," Imelda giggled. "Please," replied the exasperated unicorn. Okay, said Imelda. "Here, eat these gravity grapes. They will bring you back down." The unicorn crunched eagerly on the grapes. With each one she nibbled, she gradually descended until she landed gently on the ground. Her family was so relieved to see her safely back on the ground, they gave her a big hug. Grateful for the fairies' assistance, the unicorn family bid her farewell and began their journey back home. The little unicorn girl pondered the day's events. "You know, I think I learned something today," said the little unicorn. "Yes," replied her father, "and what's that?" "I learned that we must always be kind." "Yes," said the mother. "That magic is fun," she continued. "Absolutely," replied her brother. "And that fairies are full of mischief." "Agreed." They all burst into laughter that went on and on all the way home. The end.